Hi everyone, the Lone Wolf here, and welcome back to EVE Talk, your weekly look at the market in EVE Online. I hope everyone's having a good summer. That is if you're, of course, in the Northern Hemisphere. Here in Belgium it's actually pretty crazy. So last weekend we had almost like 40 degrees Celsius for several days, a real heat wave. And then a couple days later we had half that, like 20 degrees Celsius with rain. And of course I caught a cold, which I'm battling the end at the moment of that. So it's been kind of crazy here for the weather, but overall I think we'll be able to make it. And we are here for the market, of course, so let's just jump right in here with Plex, which you may have already seen. Plex have actually done quite a bit of a move, and so we'll put that down to 45 seconds. 976, 977 almost. For the sellers in Plex. The buyers have followed suit, 953. It's still a 23, 24 even ISK margin here, which is pretty big, honestly. We usually see more of a 13 or even less than that million ISK margin. But yeah, 977 million, that's up quite a bit. You can clearly see it on the chart here. Complete breakout of Plex. Now someone did mention that the slight dip we saw here was because of a 10% Plex sale at some point, probably in the United States. It's not like I saw a lot of that, and I don't watch for Plex sales in real life too much. I just pay my sub, but that seems to be over, and here we do have a big increase all of a sudden. Now I do think it is possible that Fuzzysoft, which is coming next week, has a big part to play in this. Quite a bit of speculation happening from players that are expecting veterans to come back to the game, and if they want to Plex their account, they'll have to get it from the market. So right now it is possible that a lot of people are buying on the opportunity of close to 920 million, with the hopes of selling, well, maybe close to 1 billion if it does indeed materialize that a lot of people come back for a big nullsec war, and then yeah, drives the price of Plex, or the demand of Plex at least, and then it would be good to have a few that you could sell at higher prices. I think that's what's happening here, speculation on an increase in especially veterans coming back to check out the new sovereignty system. Let's also check out multiple pilot training certificate. A very similar jump here. We're also up to 960 million. You never know when an alt comes in handy, of course, and it's sort of normal that this moves a bit in lockstep with the Plex themselves. And then finally the pilot body resculpt. Finally we see these move in line with what Plex have done. So these have jumped up quite a bit all of a sudden as well. So across the board we're paying more ISK for real life value, whether it's a Plex, a body resculpt, or even a multiple pilot training certificate. We've gone up quite significantly on the week, and as I said, my expectation is that all of this is speculation due to the upcoming sovereignty changes. Next up, let's check out the minerals, and 3.5 minutes for that. So let's start with titanium. That one moved up just a little bit, but I mean this still pretty much counts as a sideways movement for titanium, although the 5-day moving average is staying above the 20-day moving average and slowly pulling that one up. Since we're still moving in the 5.10 or is no 5.2 to 5.3 ISK band, I do think that titanium is in for a sideways movement at the moment. Let's take a look at supply demand numbers here. 220 million, 160 million, 175, and then here we have 200 million, 650 million, 360 million. So that seems just like a healthy, a good market that has found its price. I think we can expect a continuation of this in the upcoming days and weeks right here. Let's see if Pirate has done something similar. It's trying to hold on, but it is close to the 10.8 ISK mark, and 1082 for the sellers, 1081 for the buyers. So no margin whatsoever. That does seem to be the price. Let's take a look at supply demand here then. 100 million, 84 million, 184 on the sellers, but here 283 on the buyers, pretty recent. 273 on the buyers here as well. So it could really go either way. If all of a sudden someone decides to dump some stocks because he needs the money, Pyrite could take a bit of a dive. It's really on a knife's edge because of that absolutely inexistent margin right here. 10.82 for the sellers, 10.81 for the buyers. That's something you don't see very often. And then any push by either the supply or the demand side of things could really have an impact on the price, considering everything else does seem to be decently balanced. But considering titanium, I think we're actually up for a more of a sideways movement around the current price point. Next up, we've got Mexalon. Very similar chart to pyrite, except that it's not hitting the floor as hard. I would consider a floor at 42 ISK. You can clearly see some data points just touching or breaking that, and then the price moves back up a little bit. But for a sideways movement, it's pretty obvious here. You can see the 5-day moving average going up and down quite a little bit, and it's doing that around the 20-day moving average of just above 42 ISK or ISK. And so I need to try and focus. It's ISK is the correct pronunciation. Try and use that. 42.14 for the sellers, 41.18 for the buyers. So that's only a 1 ISK margin in between them. Also very small for something like Mexalon, and the buyers are trying to get it just below the 42 ISK price point. If the sellers at some point have to follow suit, you know, if there's that much demand that they will push the price below that, it could be that we'll go a little bit lower. I do think that a psychological round number thing has a certain basis of truth in markets, but for now it does look like around 42 ISK is where Mexalon is managing to hold and to move. We'll need to see if that actually holds up. And now I need to actually blow my nose a moment. Sorry about that. And then we can move on to Isogen, which unfortunately is going down. It actually broke the 100 ISK mark on the 5-day moving average. The 20-day moving average is still holding strong, so it could be that we'll bounce back up from this, but unfortunately sellers 99.5, buyers 97.5, and there is still 1.3 million, 1 million, 5.2 million, all of that below the 100 here, another 16 million below 100. So it does look like that price has been broken, and we'll have to keep a close eye on Isogen. Honestly, it is very much possible that it will go just a bit lower and find a new price point to start moving sideways on, because breaking this 100 ISK price mark is actually something that is pretty significant, especially if you see that the sell orders keep coming in despite that fact. So we'll need to keep an eye on Isogen for next week, I think. Next up, Noxium then. The chart here, that's a pretty big dive down. Actually, it was holding on at 540. Now it's breaking $500. And do we have like big supply coming in? Buyers 484, the sellers 498, and we still have 700,000, 800,000. Let's see. Pretty much starting from here, almost the entire front page is less than 24 hours old. We still have an 11.4 million units of Noxium being sold here. That is obviously going to put a ceiling on the price. No way it's going to go very much above 498.4 anytime soon here. Because of that, there is still supply coming in, so not looking good for Noxium. There is clear pressure on the price, and it could be that we'll, just like with Isogen, that will go quite a bit lower before we start moving sideways again, because that pressure is on. We're just breaking price points like it's nothing here. Clearly we broke through the 520, then straight through the 500, and even now we still see all of that supply coming in. That's pretty dangerous, and not a good sign for Noxium right here. Then let's take a look at Zydrine for the nullsec ones, finally stabilizing, but at a pretty damn high price here, close to 1600. It's actually at 1540. I would put it around that for the sellers, 1500 for the buyers, but it's really the sellers that are dictating the price here. And 1540 ISK is what you have to count for Zydrine, and then here Megasite is at 2118, 2119, something like that. And so we do have a little bit of a pullback, but we're clearly moving in the band of between 2000 and 2200 ISK for Megasite. And this just keeps flowing. There we go. Maybe I'll touch on Morphite for this week here. went up for on 6 months. That's a pretty clear increase in price. Would have been an awesome investment when you could pick some of that up close to 5,000 ISK, but we're looking at close to 13,000 ISK here. So a very similar move to Zydrine and Megasite right here. Currently at 12,200 for the sellers, 12,000 just above that for the buyers. So more fight, very much in lockstep with Zydrine, except not as brutal, and Megasite on the uptick here. But so that would have been a good opportunity to still jump in on the increase in price for more fight right here. That was a bit slower. You could have taken advantage of that. And then next up, Tech One chips. Let's take a look at the impact here. 10.5 minutes. For that one, let's take a look here at the Apocalypse. Still going down. I actually like this because if you look at where we started 6 months ago, close to 175 million, we're now back close to 175 million. So we did know a bit of a higher price point for quite a sustained period. Could be because of the changes to minerals, could also be because of some fleets being created based around the Apocalypse. But we are back over the 6 months. We're right back where we started, which is good for what I like to see, which is a stable Tech One market that makes an affordable Tech One market, and that I think means that the economy is in good shape, at least when it comes to Tech One chips here. So 177.5 for the sellers, 171 for the buyers. Right in the middle of that is where we were 6 months ago. So I do like this pullback here for the Apocalypse. It's not a sign of doom or anything like that. It's actually a sign that we're back into a normal price range. Next up, the Caracal here, still very volatile, up on another upswing here, close to 12.4 million, starting to go down, so we should see some supply coming in indeed. 13, the entire front page here is less than 24 hours old, and we still have 18, 15, 11, 13, all of them in competition with each other, so that is putting some pressure on the price. But the Caracal very popular in some nullsec alliances, and this is why you see this all of these spikes here whenever you can buy at like below 10.5 million or even 11 million. People jump on the opportunity to make big fleets of them. Next up, the Dominics here. This is really nice for stability, so starting at 190 to 195, ending 190 to 195. Again, up a little bit in price right here, but I was a little bit afraid when we broke 190 on the 5-day moving average, but we are back up, so very good, showing off the stability of the Tech One market. Decent supply coming in here, 10-15 of them, but you have decent demand here as well. Look at that, all of these are new orders too, putting a bit of pressure on the price to stay up a little bit, so looking quite good, looking quite healthy in the Dominics market. Here's the Myrmidon then, finally coming back down from I would say a triple spike right here. So for some reason people either didn't bring Myrmidons to the market or bought a lot of them, but now we're breaking 52 million. If we can get back close to 51 million, that would be perfect. In fact, the buyers are already below 50 million, putting that pressure on the price. There's only a couple of really recent orders here, but the sellers on the other hand, I think not that many, just 3 orders here, so it's a bit of a slower market. The fact that 71 Myrmidons come in here below 53 million though is a good sign that the Myrmidon is going to be pushed back into a normal price range of around 51 million in the next few weeks. Next up, the Stabber then, also right back to the 10.5 million that we had 6 months ago. So all of this, honestly, it's looking like there were some opportunities in some ships to produce them and sell them for a profit. But overall, this market is very healthy. It's got enough industrial potential to fill gaps whenever needed, but it also has enough demand to keep the price at a normal price range. So it's not crashing, it's not going to the moon, it's not becoming unaffordable. Just looks to me like a really healthy Tech One market at the moment. The only exception, as always here, is the Tornado that has settled at a much higher price all of a sudden, and I think it's actually it's one of those tier 3s, and so I think that there is just more Megasite and Zydrine needed for something like the Tornado, or maybe just it's been changed a little bit. That's possible as well. And then finally here we have the Vexor, also finally coming back towards the 11.2 million we started 6 months ago. Quite a bit of volatility here for a while, which were opportunities, but now we are coming back. And is there a bit of an edge to supply? I would say, yeah. Maybe the first 5-6 orders are less than 24 hours old, but here we've got 30, 11, 13, 13, all of this pretty recent and in decent numbers, continuing the pressure here. We're coming right back to where we were 6 months ago, which in my opinion is not a bad thing. Next up, Tech 2 market, 15.15. Let's see if we can find some trade opportunities on this one. Here's the Basilisk. I would say you can still sell these because you could have bought them close to 180. Current sell orders still above 200 million, so I think putting up a sell order just below that is going to be picked up, and it could be decent profit. Here is the Guardian then, slowly going back down here, not as volatile as I would like to see it, and 130. It is possible, you know, you have to take a gamble. Is the new sovereignty system indeed going to make these logistics ships that much more important? Then this could actually be a good idea to jump in below 130 on the buy orders. You'll probably have opportunities to sell better than that, but if you think that that's not going to be the case, then you should wait for a better opportunity. Next up, the Hound here, playing around the 16 million mark. You could do that as a medium to long-term investment. At some point I do think stealth bombers will go up in price, but this is a little bit risky. I'd rather see a big drop down to 15 million before I jump in, but you could consider it, I think. Next up, the Manticore. That's more interesting, coming close to a 6-month low here. Data points at 21 million, buyers very close to 20 million. Still a lot of supply, look at that, 15, 28, 33. So it could be that we'll see a buy opportunity very soon for the Manticore. Here's the Nemesis then. That is a bit dangerous, I feel, because we're right in the middle between where we had great buy opportunities, close to 18 million, spikes up to 22 million, 4 million in between that, pretty damn good profit. But we're still holding it well above 20 million, so I'd be careful here. Next up, the Oneros. Coming back down as well towards 150, buyers 147. I would still be careful, honestly. I think we can do better than that, close to 145. Maybe even if you ever see that 140, you know that that's actually a good time to jump in, but here just a bit early, I think. And next up, the Purifier here, also coming back down, but still not low enough, I would say, considering the rest of the chart here. Better opportunities below 17 million. And then finally the Scimitar, holding on quite nicely above 135. So I think you could sell here, or you could wait the logistics market out just a little bit. Oh my god. Next up, let's jump right into the Tech 3 market, 1805 for that one. Let's take a look at all of this, and we're probably missing one. So we'll start by taking a look at the Hecate. Search, add to market quick bar, move that one in Tech 3, and we'll just take a look right again. This was pretty much what we expected. I think we started at 70 million, where we have a data point, and we're already selling Hecates below 50 million, 42 million for the buyers. And look at the huge supply, everyone was ready for this. So it is pretty clear here that that all of these ships did normalize very quickly. Here's the Confessor, for instance, starting oh, that's actually more than 6 months ago. Let's take a look at the 1 year, starting at like 1.5 billion because it was the first one, then going straight down, and now we have price well below 40 million, like 35 million for a Confessor. Here is the next one, I think was the Zwepel, which started at like 75, 80 million. Right here, went straight down to 35 million. Then we had the Jackdaw, started at 80 million. I guess because Caldari is the most popular race, So I think that's why it actually managed to start just a little bit higher, but now here we have the Hecate starting at 70 million. So it's not like that huge opportunity of those incredible margins that the Confessor did still provide right at the start here. Some people bought them for crazy prices, but for the ones after that, it started at maybe double the price that it will settle at. And so for the Jackdaw here, starting for the Hecate starting at 70 million, this will normalize to 35 million pretty soon, I think, and you can already pick him up below 50 million. So no big surprises here. There is just a lot of industrial potential in Tech 3 at the moment from wormhole space, and so this is why you see these huge numbers and that immediate flooding of the market with product. It's also what the cruisers are suffering from. So here, for instance, is the Legion. Still a little bit of pressure. We are below 150 million by now. Let's take a look at supply here. 18, 15, 9, still coming in, less than 24 hours old. Let's take a look next at the Loki. Also diving below 150 is the pressure here. 14, 10, 10, 10. You don't see that in the buyers just yet. So that oversupply, that there's just too much industrial potential in Tech 3 at the moment. It is putting pressure on all of these prices. The Proteus jumped below 150, trying to claw its way back up from that, but look at that, 15, 10, 10, 10, all of these very recent, less than 2 hours old. So that huge pressure, it is there. Here's the Tengu then also trying to hold on at 150. Let's take a look at supply. Well, we have to start here, so not that big in numbers. There are still a few big cell orders that are a bit older that are holding on, that are still here, 13, 19, 17 right here, but you can still see that they are still coming in despite these prices here. So 151, 0.73, 0.73, 0.73, people still do bring them to the market. It's just way bigger in numbers here on the seller side than on the buyer side, which is why the Tech 3 market has constantly been under pressure. What we do see is that now and then when a ship goes really low, that a big alliance decides, okay, we'll build a fleet of that because it's so low, then the price jumps up, but right away it gets flooded with huge numbers of supply, just like what we're seeing with the Hecate here at the moment. And so any of these spikes are very difficult to take advantage of. They are very short-lived, and yeah, this Tech 3 market is just very depressed until CCP decides to actually like change maybe the cruisers, give them a niche, give them something else to do. I think that this situation is going to continue. And then finally, for the extra material, we'll jump into the isotopes, so 2230 for that one. It's been a while since I actually checked these. I didn't get any questions, so or any suggestions, so let's take a look at this here. Actually managing to be pretty stable in the last few months here at around 740. This is the helium isotope chart here. Nothing special to report. Supply, demand, I think will look quite healthy. 1.5 million, 2.3 million, 1.6 million, 3 million. And both of these less than a day old. So this looks right on the money for a stable market at the moment in the isotopes. Here's the hydrogen isotopes. They're low for the 6 months, but in the last few months also pretty stable around the 640 price point. 14 million being brought in here. It's actually going to put a little bit of pressure on the price, but overall still managing to hold on right here, so not that bad for hydrogen isotopes. Here are the nitrogen ones. Oh, a little bit of a spike up here all of a sudden. But only to 800, and are we dropping back down again? No, 780 to 800. So that is pretty interesting. There's a bit more supply than demand at these prices, but I do think that it will be a while before we actually settle back to the low of 750, which we started a few months ago. So nitrogen isotopes working on a comeback a little bit in the last few months here. And then we've got oxygen isotopes. That is about as stable as you get since April 1st right here, right around the 700 price mark. Supplies, lower numbers, 5 million, 4 million, 4 million, and then the buyers 4 million, 1.7, 1 million. So pretty stable situation in the isotope market, except maybe for the nitrogen isotopes, which are going up in price, and there may be a reason for that. I don't know them immediately. but from 750 to 800 ISK is not that big of a jump either, so no reason to panic. I think the isotopes market, to me, it looks pretty stable. Anyways, that's it for this Eve talk then, guys. Thank you very much for sticking with me despite my cold and all of my all of the weird noises that I've been making. But thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all next time.